The maid found the mafia boss's daughter buried alive in the garden, not drowned like everyone believed. She dug her up with bare hands, revived her in secret, and now holds the one truth that could destroy his fiancée. But the fiancée knows someone's watching, and she's already moving to finish what she started. The black Mercedes pulled through the iron gates at exactly 6:47 p.m., 7 minutes earlier than expected. Lily Chin wiped her hands on her apron and watched from the kitchen window as Marco De Luca stepped out of the car. Even from a distance, she could see the exhaustion carved into his face. 3 weeks in Chicago negotiating territory disputes would do that to anyone, especially someone in his line of work. But something was wrong. The entire household staff stood lined up by the entrance. Every single one of them. That only happened for weddings or funerals. Lily's stomach dropped. She abandoned the vegetables she'd been chopping and hurried toward the main entrance, her worn sneakers squeaking against the marble floor. By the time she reached the foyer, Marco was already inside, his 6-foot frame seeming somehow smaller than usual. Bianca Rossi, his fiancée, stood beside him in a black dress that probably cost more than Lily's annual salary. Her perfectly manicured hand rested on Marco's shoulder, her expression a practiced mask of sorrow. What happened? Marco's voice was barely above a whisper, but it cut through the silence like a blade. Vincent, the head of security, cleared his throat. "Sir, there was an accident yesterday afternoon. Your daughter." Isabella. Marco's jaw tightened. "Her name is Isabella. Isabella was found in the pond near the East Garden," Vincent continued, his eyes fixed on the floor. "We believe she wandered there after her afternoon lessons. By the time Maria discovered her, it was too late." "I'm sorry, sir." The words hung in the air like poison gas. Lily felt the world tilt sideways. Isabella. Sweet, 7-year-old Isabella with her gap-toothed smile and endless questions about everything. Isabella, who snuck into the kitchen every morning to steal cookies before breakfast. Isabella, who called Lily Lil and drew pictures of them having tea parties together. Dead. No one's fault. Bianca's voice drifted across the foyer, smooth as honey. It was a tragic accident. These things happen, Marco. Children are so unpredictable. Marco said nothing. He just stood there, staring at a spot on the wall where Isabella's latest crayon drawing still hung, a lopsided house with 3 stick figures labeled Daddy, Me, and Lil. Lily watched his face crumble, just for a second, before he rebuilt it into something hard and unreadable. She'd worked for Marco De Luca for 3 years, and she'd learned to read the subtle shifts in his expression. This wasn't just grief. This was rage buried deep. "I want to see her," Marco said finally. "The funeral home has already," Vincent began. "I want to see my daughter. Now." 20 minutes later, Lily found herself standing in Isabella's bedroom while Marco sat on the edge of the small bed, holding one of his daughter's stuffed rabbits. Bianca had tactfully excused herself, citing a headache. The rest of the staff had scattered to their duties. But Lily couldn't leave. Something gnawed at her insides, something that wouldn't let her walk away. She moved to the window overlooking the East Garden, where yellow police tape still fluttered around the ornamental pond. The late September sun cast long shadows across the manicured lawn. And that's when she saw it. The pond was at least 50 yards from the house, surrounded by flat, open lawn. But near the rose bushes, much closer to the east wing where Isabella's room was located, the soil looked disturbed. Fresh. Like someone had been digging recently. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She'd helped the groundskeeper plant those roses just 2 months ago. The soil there had been packed hard, covered with mulch. Now it looked loose, dark, recently turned over. Did Isabella play near the rose bushes? Lily heard herself ask. Marco looked up, his dark eyes bloodshot. What? The roses. By the east wing. Did she play there? Sometimes. She liked to pick them for her room, even though I told her to be careful of the thorns. His voice cracked. Why? Lily pressed her lips together. Because the disturbed soil is nowhere near the pond. Because if Isabella drowned, Why would anyone be digging by the roses? But she couldn't say that. Not yet. Not without proof. No reason, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Mr. DeLuca. He nodded slowly, turning the stuffed rabbit over in his hands. Thank you, Lily. You were good to her. She loved you. The words pierced her chest like a knife. After Marco left, Lily remained in Isabella's room, surrounded by evidence of a life cut short. Dolls arranged on shelves. Books stacked by the nightstand. A half-finished coloring page on the desk. And then Lily noticed something else that made her blood run cold. Isabella's red ribbon, the one she wore every single day, the one her late mother had given her before she died, was missing. Isabella never took it off. She wore it to bed, to meals, to her lessons. That ribbon was practically a part of her. Lily checked the bathroom, the closet under the bed. Nothing. Her hands trembling, she walked down the hall toward the guest wing where Bianca stayed. Marco's fiancée had moved into the estate 6 months ago, though they maintained separate rooms until the wedding. Lily knew she shouldn't be doing this. Knew that if anyone caught her, she'd be fired immediately or worse. But Isabella's gap-toothed smile flashed in her mind, and her feet kept moving. Bianca's door was unlocked, arrogant, Lily thought, or maybe just confident that no one would dare enter uninvited. The room was immaculate, filled with expensive perfume bottles and designer clothes hanging in neat rows. Lily moved quickly toward the vanity, her heart hammering against her ribs. The top drawer contained makeup, brushes, jewelry. The second drawer held scarves and accessories. The third drawer made Lily's knees go weak. There, tangled among Bianca's silk scarves, was Isabella's red ribbon.
Torn.
Covered in dirt. The same dark soil Lily had seen by the rose bushes. Lily grabbed the edge of the vanity to steady herself. Her mind raced, connecting dots she didn't want to connect. The disturbed soil. The missing ribbon. Bianca's too calm demeanor. The accident that happened the day before Marco returned. This wasn't an accident. This was murder. And suddenly, Lily realized something even more terrifying. If Bianca had killed Isabella, then Isabella's body wasn't in that pond at all. Which meant the funeral home had the wrong child. Which meant... A floorboard creaked behind her. Lily spun around, her heart stopping. Bianca stood in the doorway, still wearing that black dress, her expression unreadable. Looking for something, Lily? Lily's mouth went dry. Her hand instinctively moved behind her back, but it was too late. Bianca had already seen her standing at the vanity, the drawer still open. I was looking for aspirin, Lily stammered, her voice barely steady. Mr. DeLuca asked me to check if you had any. For his headache. Bianca's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She stepped into the room, closing the door behind her with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot in Lily's ears. Aspirin, Bianca repeated, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor as she moved closer. In my vanity drawer. How thoughtful of you to look there. I should go, Lily said quickly, trying to sidestep around her. Bianca's hand shot out, gripping Lily's wrist with surprising strength. You know, Lily, I've always admired your dedication to this household. The way you took care of Isabella, it was almost maternal. The past tense made Lily's stomach churn. She was a sweet girl, Lily whispered. Bianca agreed, her grip tightening. Such a tragic loss. But life moves forward, doesn't it? Marco will heal. We'll marry. And eventually, we'll have children of our own. Children who won't be poisoned by the memory of his first wife. Lily's blood ran cold. The casual cruelty in Bianca's voice was terrifying precisely because it was so controlled, so matter-of-fact. I really need to go, Lily said, pulling her wrist free. Bianca let her, but her eyes followed Lily to the door. Of course. Oh, and Lily? If you're looking for aspirin in the future, try the medicine cabinet. You'll have better luck there. The dismissal was clear, but the threat underneath it was clearer. Lily practically ran back to her small room in the servants' quarters, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. She locked the door behind her and leaned against it, trying to catch her breath. Think, she told herself. Think clearly. She couldn't go to Marco with just suspicions. He was drowning in grief, and Bianca had her claws deep in him. He'd never believed that his elegant, sophisticated fiancée was capable of murder, not without proof. But Lily had seen that ribbon. She'd seen the soil on it. She'd seen the disturbed earth by the rose bushes. And she remembered something else now, something that had seemed insignificant at the time. 2 days ago, the day Isabella supposedly drowned, Lily had been in the laundry room sorting clothes. She'd found Bianca's favorite cream-colored shoes, the Italian leather ones she wore constantly, caked with dark soil. Not mud from rain. Dry, packed soil. The kind that came from digging. Lily's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. She couldn't call the police. Marco's connections ran deep, and any investigation would be quietly buried before it began. In their world, law enforcement was just another tool of power. No, she needed evidence. Real, undeniable evidence. She waited until midnight, when the estate fell into its usual uneasy silence. Marco was locked in his study with a bottle of scotch. Vincent had mentioned it to the staff. Bianca had retired early, her light turned off hours ago. Lily slipped out of her room wearing dark clothes and grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen. The east garden was a 5-minute walk from the main house, and every shadow seemed to hide a threat. When she reached the rose bushes, she knelt down and examined the disturbed soil more carefully. In the darkness, with only her flashlight, she could see what she'd missed before. The earth had been packed down hastily, smoothed over, but not carefully enough. Someone had buried something here. Recently. Lily's breath came in short gasps. She needed to dig, but not tonight, not without proper tools, and not without knowing she'd have enough time to finish before someone discovered her. But as she swept her flashlight across the area one more time, something caught her eye. A scrap of fabric, barely visible beneath a layer of mulch. Lily brushed the mulch aside with trembling fingers and pulled out a small piece of pale blue cotton. Her chest constricted painfully. Isabella's dress. The one she'd worn 2 days ago, the one with the little white flowers embroidered on the collar. Lily had complimented her on it that very morning. This was it. This was proof that Isabella had been here, by the roses, not by the pond. Lily carefully folded the fabric and tucked it into her pocket. She was about to stand when she heard it, a sound so faint she almost missed it. A whimper. Soft, muffled, coming from beneath the ground. Lily froze, her blood turning to ice.
No, it couldn't be.
She pressed her ear to the soil and held her breath, straining to hear. There it was again. Weaker this time, but definitely there. A sound that no ghost would make, no hallucination could produce. A child's cry. "Oh my God," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. "Oh my God, oh my God." She dropped to her knees and began digging frantically with her bare hands, tearing through soil and mulch, her fingernails breaking, her palms scraping against rocks and roots. "Hold on, baby," she gasped, digging faster. "Hold on, Isabella. I'm coming. I'm coming." The soil gave way suddenly, and her fingers hit something solid.
Wood.
A box. And from inside it came another sound, fainter now, weaker, but unmistakable. Isabella was alive. She'd been buried alive. Lily clawed at the wooden surface like a woman possessed, her fingernails splintering against the rough grain. The box was small, barely 3 feet long, buried maybe 18 inches deep. Shallow enough to dig quickly. Deep enough to muffle screams. "Isabella, can you hear me?" Lily's voice cracked as she dug around the edges, trying to find a gap, a lid, anything. "Baby, I'm right here. Stay with me." No response. Terror flooded through Lily's veins. How long had Isabella been down there? 48 hours? More? How much air could possibly be left in such a confined space? Her fingers found the edge of a lid. Lily wedged her broken nails underneath and pulled with every ounce of strength she possessed. The wood groaned, but didn't budge. No, no, no. Lily looked around frantically for something, anything to use as leverage. Her flashlight beam caught a decorative garden stake a few feet away. She lunged for it, grabbed it, and jammed it under the lid. The wood splintered with a crack that sounded like a gunshot in the quiet night. Lily froze, her heart hammering, listening for footsteps, voices, any sign that someone had heard. The estate remained silent. She counted to 10, then went back to work, prying the lid up inch by agonizing inch. Finally, it gave way. The smell hit her first, stale air, urine, something sickly sweet that made her gag. Lily shoved the lid aside completely and shined her flashlight into the box. Isabella lay curled on her side, her pale blue dress filthy and torn. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her eyes were closed. She wasn't moving.
No, Lily, breathe.
No, please. She reached down and pressed 2 fingers against Isabella's neck, searching desperately for a pulse. For a terrible moment, she felt nothing.
Then there.
Faint, irregular, but there. Thank God, Lily sobbed. Thank God, thank God. She carefully lifted Isabella out of the makeshift coffin, shocked at how light the child felt. Isabella's head lolled against Lily's shoulder, and up close, Lily could hear the shallow, raspy breathing. Dehydrated, possibly in shock. Who knew what injuries she might have sustained? Lily's first instinct was to run straight to the main house, to Marco, to get Isabella to a hospital immediately. But her feet wouldn't move in that direction. Because if she did that, Bianca would know. And Bianca had already tried to kill Isabella once. What would stop her from finishing the job? Marco's grief had left him vulnerable, easily manipulated. Bianca could spin any story, say Isabella was confused, traumatized, making things up. Say that Lily had orchestrated the whole thing for attention, for money, for revenge over some imagined slight.
No.
Lily needed to be smarter than that. She looked down at Isabella's unconscious face and made a decision that would either save them both or destroy them.
She ran.
Lily's small bedroom in the servants' quarters was barely large enough for a twin bed and a dresser, but it had one crucial advantage. It was in the oldest part of the estate, away from the main house, with walls thick enough that sounds didn't carry. Most importantly, no one paid attention to what the staff did in their private spaces. Lily laid Isabella on the bed and locked the door. Her hands shook as she grabbed a water bottle from her nightstand and carefully tilted a few drops between Isabella's cracked lips. "Come on, sweetheart," she whispered. "Just a little. That's it." Isabella's throat worked automatically, swallowing. A good sign. Her eyelids fluttered, but didn't open. Lily soaked a washcloth in the small sink in the corner and began gently cleaning the dirt from Isabella's face and hands. The child's skin was cold and clammy. Her pulse remained weak. She needs a hospital, Lily thought desperately. She needs real medical care. But taking Isabella to a hospital meant questions, reports, records. And Bianca's family had connections everywhere, the police, the hospitals, the courts. Even if Lily told the truth, who would believe a maid over a powerful mafia princess? Lily pulled a blanket over Isabella and sat on the edge of the bed, her mind racing through impossible options. She couldn't keep Isabella hidden here forever. The child needed food, water, medicine. She needed. Isabella's eyes opened. Just a crack, unfocused and glassy, but open.
Lil.
The word came out as barely a whisper, broken and hoarse. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here." Scared, Isabella breathed.
Dark.
Couldn't breathe. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Lily stroked Isabella's matted hair, her throat tight. "But you're safe now. I promise you're safe." She put me in the box. Isabella's eyes focused slightly, finding Lily's face.
Bianca, she said.
Said Daddy, didn't want me anymore. Said I was in the way. White-hot rage flooded through Lily's chest. That's not true. Your daddy loves you more than anything in the world. Then why? A tear slid down Isabella's dirty cheek. Why did she hurt me? Because she's a monster, Lily wanted to say. Because she values power more than human life. Because in her twisted mind, a 7-year-old child was just an obstacle to be removed. But Isabella didn't need to hear that.
Not now.
Because she's sick, Lily said instead. But she's not going to hurt you again. I won't let her. Isabella's small hand found Lily's and gripped it weakly. Promise. I promise. It was a promise Lily had no idea how to keep. She had no money, no resources, no real power in this world of violence and corruption. She was just a maid who'd stumbled onto a terrible secret. But as she sat there holding Isabella's hand, watching the child's breathing slowly steady, Lily realized something important. She might not have power or connections or money. But she had something Bianca didn't have. She had the truth. And she would burn this entire estate to the ground before she let anyone hurt Isabella again. Isabella fell into an uneasy sleep just as dawn broke through Lily's small window. Lily sat beside her, exhausted but too wired to rest. Every footstep in the hallway outside made her flinch. Every distant voice sent her heart racing. She couldn't stay hidden in her room forever. The household staff would notice her absence. Questions would be asked. At 7:30, Lily heard the familiar sound of the breakfast bell, Vincent's signal that Marco was awake and expected his morning coffee. She had to go. Had to act normal. Had to pretend that the world hadn't just tilted on its axis. She checked Isabella one more time. The child's breathing had improved, her color slightly better. Lily left water and crackers within reach, then locked the door from the outside with the spare key she kept hidden in her apron pocket. I'll be back soon, she whispered through the door. Stay quiet, baby. Please stay quiet. The main house buzzed with subdued activity. Lily could hear voices drifting from Marco's study as she prepared his coffee, Vincent's low rumble, and someone else. A woman's voice, but not Bianca's. Curiosity pulled Lily toward the study. She shouldn't eavesdrop. She knew that. But everything had changed last night. The rules didn't apply anymore. She positioned herself near the door, pretending to dust a nearby table. Cannot delay the wedding any longer, the unfamiliar woman was saying. Her accent was refined, authoritative. The alliance between our families depends on it. Your grief is understandable, Marco. But business doesn't stop for personal tragedy. My daughter just died, Sophia. Marco's voice was raw, dangerous. Forgive me if I'm not concerned about business right now. Sophia. Lily's mind clicked. Bianca's mother. She'd seen the woman once before, months ago, tall, severe, dripping in diamonds. Which is precisely why you need Bianca now more than ever, Sophia continued smoothly. She'll help you through this. She'll give you new children, a new legacy. The DeLuca name needs heirs, and Bianca can provide them. There was a long silence. Then Vincent spoke up. Mrs. Rossi, with respect, perhaps this conversation could wait. No, Sophia's voice sharpened. It cannot wait. Do you know how many enemies are circling right now, waiting for Marco to show weakness? The Castellanos in Boston. The Chun Syndicate in California. They see a grieving father, and they smell blood in the water. Lily's hands tightened on the coffee tray. She'd heard whispers about Marco's business dealings. Everyone who worked in the house had, but hearing it laid out so coldly made her skin crawl. The wedding will proceed as planned, Sophia declared. 3 weeks from Saturday. Bianca has already resumed the arrangements. I haven't agreed to this, Marco said quietly. You don't need to agree. You need to survive. And survival requires alliance. My family brings you the East Coast ports, the shipping routes, the political connections you desperately need right now. Sophia's heels clicked across the floor. Isabella's death was tragic, but it doesn't change the reality of your situation. Lily heard Marco's chair scrape back violently. Get out. Excuse me? I said get out of my house. Marco, be reasonable. Vincent, escort Mrs. Rossi to her car. The study door opened abruptly, and Lily barely had time to step back before Sophia Rossi swept past her, fury radiating from every pore. Vincent followed, his expression carefully neutral. Lily waited a moment, then knocked softly on the doorframe. Your coffee, Mr. DeLuca. Marco stood by the window, his back to her, shoulders rigid with tension. Leave it on the desk. Lily set down the tray, then hesitated. She should leave. Should keep her mouth shut. Should. She's wrong, you know, Lily heard herself say. Marco turned, his dark eyes bloodshot and exhausted. What? Mrs. Rossi. She's wrong about what you need. Lily's voice came out stronger than she felt. You don't need an alliance. You need truth. Something flickered in Marco's expression. What are you talking about? Before Lily could answer, Bianca appeared in the doorway, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit. Her eyes swept from Marco to Lily and back again. Am I interrupting? Her tone was light, but Lily caught the edge underneath. Lily was just bringing coffee, Marco said. How thoughtful. Bianca moved into the room, her presence somehow filling it. Lily, that will be all. It was a dismissal, a reminder of hierarchy. You're just the help. Know your place. Lily nodded and left, but she didn't go far. She positioned herself in the adjacent hallway, in a spot where voices from the study carried through an old heating vent. Your mother was here, Marco said flatly. I know. I asked her to come. Bianca's voice was gentle, soothing. You're hurting, Marco. You're not thinking clearly. Someone needs to help you make rational decisions. Rational? My daughter is dead, and you want to talk about wedding dates? I want to talk about your future. Our future. A pause. Isabella's gone, and nothing we do will bring her back. But we can honor her memory by building something strong. Something that lasts. Lily pressed her ear closer to the vent. You never liked her, Marco said suddenly. Did you? Silence. Then, I tried, Marco. I really did. But she made it difficult. She was so attached to you, so possessive. She saw me as an enemy, not as someone who could love her too. Liar, Lily thought viciously. She was 7 years old, Marco said, his voice hard. I know. And I'm not blaming her. Children from previous marriages often struggle with new parental figures. It's natural, Bianca sighed. Maybe if we'd had more time, things would have been different. But we didn't get that chance. The manipulation was masterful. Lily could hear it in every carefully chosen word. Bianca was rewriting history, making Isabella the obstacle, positioning herself as the patient victim. The wedding will happen, Bianca continued softly. Because you need me, Marco. Whether you want to admit it or not. Your enemies are watching. Your allies are wavering. Without my family's support, the DeLuca empire will crumble within 6 months. And if I refuse? Another pause. When Bianca spoke again, her voice had lost its gentleness. Then my father will consider our engagement broken. And broken engagements in our world have consequences. You know that. There it was. The threat. The real reason Marco hadn't sent her away. This wasn't about love. It had never been about love. It was about power, territory, survival. And Isabella, sweet, innocent Isabella, had been nothing but a complication in Bianca's path to becoming Mrs. Marco DeLuca. Lily backed away from the vent, her mind reeling. She finally understood. This wasn't a crime of passion or a moment of madness. It was calculated murder. Bianca had buried Isabella alive to clear her path to power, and she'd done it the day before Marco returned, so he'd come home to a fait accompli, grief, sympathy, and no questions asked. And she'd almost gotten away with it. Over the next 3 days, Lily walked a razor's edge between terror and determination. She kept Isabella hidden in her room, nursing the child back to health with stolen food and water. Isabella's physical condition improved, but the psychological damage ran deeper. She flinched at every noise. She woke screaming from nightmares about the darkness, the box, the feeling of suffocating. "Sho, baby, I've got you," Lily would whisper, holding her through the tremors. "You're safe." But they weren't safe.
Not really.
Not while Bianca walked free in the house above them. Lily's behavior began to change in ways she couldn't fully control. She avoided Bianca whenever possible, taking circuitous routes through the house to prevent chance encounters. She checked the hallways compulsively before moving between rooms. She jumped at shadows. And Marco noticed. On the fourth day, Lily was carrying fresh linens down the west corridor when she nearly collided with him coming around the corner. "Mr. DeLuca, I'm sorry. You've been acting strange," he said, his dark eyes studying her with an intensity that made her stomach clench. "Is something wrong?" "Everything," Lily wanted to scream. "Everything is wrong. Your fiancé is a murderer. Your daughter is alive. This entire house is built on lies." "I'm just tired, sir. We all are. It's been a difficult week." Marco's gaze didn't waver. "You keep looking over your shoulder, like you're afraid someone's following you. Because someone might be," Lily thought. Bianca's eyes had been tracking her movements with increasing suspicion. Twice, Lily had caught her standing outside the servants' quarters, listening.
"Ai fine," Lily insisted.
"Just jumpy. Vincent mentioned you haven't been eating at staff meals. You're taking food to your room instead." Lily's pulse quickened. She forced herself to meet his eyes, to keep her voice steady. "I prefer privacy right now. The other staff keep wanting to talk about what happened." "I can't." She let her voice break authentically. "I can't keep reliving it." Something in Marco's expression softened. "I understand. Isabella cared about you. Losing her." "Excuse me," Lily interrupted, unable to bear the conversation any longer. "I need to finish the linens." She brushed past him, her heart hammering. That was too close. Much too close. But Marco's scrutiny only intensified after that. Lily felt his eyes on her during meals, in the hallways, whenever they occupied the same space. He was watching her with the same calculating attention he probably used on business rivals, looking for tells, for weaknesses, for lies. And then Bianca made her move. Lily was walking past the morning room when she heard Bianca's voice, pitched just loud enough to carry. "Worried about her, that's all. She's been acting so erratically."
"Who?"
Marco's voice, cautious. "Lily." Your maid, a delicate pause. "Marco, I hate to say this, but I think she might be unstable." Lily froze in the hallway, her blood turning to ice. "What are you talking about?" Marco asked. "Haven't you noticed? The way she looks at you? The way she monopolized Isabella's attention? I think she's developed some kind of fixation."
"On you."
"On this family." "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" Bianca's voice dripped with concern. "Think about it. She's alone, no family, working in a house full of wealth and power that she'll never have. That kind of proximity can create dangerous fantasies. And now, with Isabella gone, those fantasies might be intensifying." Lily's hands clenched into fists. The audacity of it. Bianca, the actual murderer, trying to paint Lily as the unstable one. "I've caught her in places she shouldn't be," Bianca continued. "Near my room. Near your study. She sneaks around constantly. And the food hoarding? That's a classic sign of psychological distress." "You think Lily is dangerous?" Marco's tone was skeptical, but not dismissive. "I think grief makes people do irrational things. And I think someone who's already emotionally unbalanced could become unpredictable." A soft sigh. "I'm not saying she'd hurt anyone intentionally, but we should be careful. Perhaps it would be better to let her go. Give her a generous severance, help her find another position elsewhere." "No," Marco's voice was firm. "She stays." Silence. Lily could picture Bianca's carefully masked frustration. "Of course," Bianca said smoothly. "I just want you to be safe. To be aware. I appreciate your concern, but I can handle my own staff." After that conversation, the dynamic in the house shifted into something darker. Marco began watching both women with equal intensity, Lily with concern, Bianca with something harder to read. Lily caught him studying her during dinner service, his expression unreadable. Once, she turned a corner and found him standing in the hallway outside the servants' quarters, just waiting, watching. "Can I help you with something, Mr. DeLuca?" she asked, her voice barely steady. "Where do you go at night, Lily?" The question landed like a punch. What? "I've seen lights under your door at odd hours. 2, 3 in the morning. What are you doing in there?" "Taking care of your daughter," Lily wanted to shout. "Keeping her alive while your psychopath fiancé plans your wedding." "I have insomnia," she said instead. "I read." "Is that a crime?" "Reading what? Does it matter?" They stared at each other in the dim hallway, and Lily saw the moment his suspicion crystallized into something more dangerous. Active investigation. He didn't trust her. Bianca's poison had worked. "I think we need to have a conversation," Marco said quietly.
A real one.
"Tomorrow morning, my study, 7 a.m. It wasn't a request. Lily nodded, her mind already racing. She had less than 12 hours to decide what to do. Come clean and risk everything? Keep lying and watch his suspicion grow? Take Isabella and run. That night, she sat on the edge of her bed with Isabella asleep beside her and tried to formulate a plan. But every scenario ended the same way, with Bianca winning, Isabella dead, and Lily either fired or worse. She needed help. Real help. Someone with actual power who could stand against Bianca. But who? Around 3 a.m., Lily heard footsteps in the hallway outside her door. Soft, deliberate, stopping right outside her room. She held her breath, covering Isabella's mouth gently so the child wouldn't make a sound. The doorknob turned.
Slowly, testing to see if it was locked. It was.
Thank God it was. The footsteps retreated. Lily didn't sleep for the rest of the night. And when dawn broke, she knew what she had to do. She had to tell Marco everything. Even if he didn't believe her. Even if it meant losing her job, her safety, her life. Because the alternative, letting Bianca win, was unthinkable. At 6:45 a.m., Lily made a decision that changed everything. She wasn't going to Marco's study. Not yet. Not until Isabella was somewhere safe. Somewhere Bianca couldn't reach her even if everything went wrong. Because if Lily revealed the truth and Marco didn't believe her, if Bianca's manipulation had worked too well, Isabella would be vulnerable.
Exposed.
And this time, Bianca would make sure there was no miraculous rescue. Lily woke Isabella gently. "Baby, we need to go somewhere. Right now." Isabella's eyes went wide with fear. "Is she coming?"
No, sweetheart.
"But we need to move you somewhere safer. Can you be very brave for me?" Isabella nodded, clutching her stuffed rabbit, the same one Marco had held days ago, believing his daughter was dead. Lily bundled Isabella in a dark coat with the hood up, tucked her hair inside, and made her look as inconspicuous as possible. Then she waited until she heard the breakfast bell ring, signaling that Marco and Bianca were occupied in the dining room. They slipped out through the servants' entrance. The fishing village of Porter's Bay was only 12 miles from the estate, but it might as well have been another world. The air smelled of salt and fish instead of expensive perfume and gun oil. The houses were small, weathered, honest. Lily had grown up here before her parents died, before she'd needed work and found it at the DeLuca estate. She still knew these streets, still knew the people who'd watched her grow up. And she knew Margaretchen. Margaret lived in a blue cottage at the end of Harbor Street, her garden overflowing with herbs and vegetables. She'd been the village midwife for 40 years before retiring, and she'd delivered Lily herself, 32 years ago. More importantly, Margaret owed Lily a debt. 3 years ago, Lily had discovered Margaret's grandson stealing from the estate's wine cellar, expensive bottles worth thousands of dollars. Instead of reporting it to Vincent, Lily had confronted the boy privately, scared him straight, and replaced the bottles with her own money, paying it off in painful installments over 6 months. She'd never told anyone, had never asked for anything in return.
Until now.
Margaret answered the door in her bathrobe, her gray hair in curlers. Her eyes widened when she saw Lily, then dropped to the small figure hiding behind her. Lily Chen. What on earth? I need your help, Lily said quietly.
Please.
Can we come in? 5 minutes later, they sat in Margaret's tiny kitchen, steam rising from 3 mugs of tea. Isabella huddled in Lily's lap, silent and watchful. This is the DeLuca girl, Margaret said, her voice carefully neutral. The one who supposedly drowned. She didn't drown. She was buried alive. Lily's voice shook despite her best efforts. By Marco DeLuca's fiancée. I dug her up 3 nights ago. Margaret's weathered face went pale. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I need somewhere safe to keep her while I gather evidence. Somewhere Bianca can't find her. Somewhere off everyone's radar. And you came to me. You're the only person I trust who doesn't work for the DeLucas or the Rossis. Lily met Margaret's eyes. I know what I'm asking. I know it's dangerous. But Margaret, if I don't protect her, she'll die. And this time, she'll stay dead. Margaret studied Isabella for a long moment. The child stared back with those haunted eyes, still clutching her rabbit. How long? Margaret asked finally. I don't know.
Days, maybe.
A week at most. Lily's throat tightened. I need to find proof that Bianca did this. Physical evidence Marco can't ignore or explain away. Once I have that. Once you have that, you'll start a war. Margaret's expression was grim. The Rossis won't take this lying down. Neither will their allies. I know.
People will die, Lily.
Maybe you included. I know that too. Margaret sighed deeply, then reached across the table and took Lily's hand. Your mother would be proud of you. Stupid, reckless, and suicidal, but proud. Relief flooded through Lily's chest. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. We need rules. Margaret's grip tightened. That child doesn't go outside. Not once. The windows stay curtained. If anyone asks, I'm caring for my great-niece from Pittsburgh. You understand? Lily nodded. And you, Margaret pointed a stern finger. You be careful. The Rossis have eyes everywhere. One wrong move, and they'll know something's off. I will. Margaret turned to Isabella. What's your name, sweetheart? Isabella, her voice was barely a whisper. Well, Isabella, you're going to stay with me for a little while. I've got books and puzzles, and I make excellent cookies. Does that sound okay? Isabella looked up at Lily, her eyes pleading. You'll come back. Every single day, Lily promised, hugging her tight. I swear it. Leaving Isabella at the cottage was one of the hardest things Lily had ever done. The child clung to her, crying, and Lily had to gently pry her fingers loose. Be brave, baby. Just a little longer. The drive back to the estate felt like driving toward her own execution. She'd missed the 7 a.m. meeting with Marco. By now, he'd be furious, suspicious, maybe already listening to whatever lies Bianca was spinning. But Lily had no choice. She had to see this through. When she pulled through the estate gates at 8:47 a.m., Vincent was waiting by the entrance. His expression told her everything she needed to know. Mr. DeLuca wants to see you.
Now.
I know.
I'm sorry, E.
He's not alone. Vincent's voice dropped lower. Miss Rossi is with him. And Lily? Whatever you're mixed up in, be smart. These people don't forgive mistakes. Lily's hands trembled as she followed Vincent through the marble hallways. The morning sun streamed through the windows, making everything look deceptively peaceful. Outside Marco's study, she paused and took a deep breath. This was it. The moment she'd been dreading and preparing for. She knocked.
Come in.
Lily opened the door. Marco sat behind his desk, his expression carved from stone. Bianca stood by the window, perfectly composed in a cream dress, her lips curved in a small, knowing smile. And on the desk between them sat something that made Lily's blood run cold. Isabella's torn red ribbon. The one that had been in Bianca's drawer. The one that proved everything. Sit down, Lily, Marco said quietly. We need to talk about where you've been. And what you've been hiding. Lily's mind raced. How did the ribbon get on Marco's desk? She'd seen it in Bianca's drawer 4 days ago, but she hadn't taken it. She'd been too scared, too focused on getting out before Bianca caught her. Which meant Bianca had put it there herself. But why? Sit, Marco repeated, his voice harder this time. Lily sank into the chair across from his desk, her eyes fixed on the ribbon. The torn fabric was covered in dried soil, evidence of a crime. But in whose hands would it be proof, and in whose would it be a weapon? Do you know what this is? Marco asked. It's Isabella's ribbon, Lily whispered. The one her mother gave her. I found it in your room, Bianca said from the window, her voice dripping with false sympathy. This morning while you were, wherever you were. I was concerned about you, Lily. You'd missed your meeting with Marco, and I thought perhaps you were ill. So I checked on you. Liar. She'd planted it. She must have taken it from her own drawer and put it in Lily's room while Lily was at Margaret's cottage. That's not possible, Lily said, trying to keep her voice steady. I didn't have. It was in your nightstand drawer, Bianca interrupted smoothly. Wrapped in tissue paper. Hidden away like some kind of trophy. The word hung in the air like poison. Marco's jaw tightened. Why would you have Isabella's ribbon, Lily? I didn't. Lily looked from him to Bianca and back again, seeing the trap closing around her. I didn't put it there.
She did.
She's lying. Bianca's expression transformed into perfect, wounded shock. Lily, why would you say that? I'm trying to help you. You buried her. The words exploded from Lily before she could stop them. You buried Isabella alive by the rose bushes, and you kept her ribbon as a souvenir or something. I saw it in your vanity drawer 4 days ago. Silence filled the study like water filling a drowning man's lungs.
Marco stood slowly.
What did you just say? Isabella didn't drown, Lily said, her voice shaking but determined. Bianca buried her in a wooden box by the east garden. I found the disturbed soil. She stopped, realizing she was about to reveal that Isabella was alive. Not yet. Not until she understood Marco's position. You found what? Marco's voice was deadly quiet. Fabric from Isabella's dress. In the soil. She was there, not at the pond. Bianca laughed, a delicate, disbelieving sound. Marco, this is exactly what I was afraid of. She's having some kind of breakdown. The grief has. Shut up, Marco said, not looking at her. His eyes were locked on Lily. If what you're saying is true, if there was evidence by the rose bushes, why didn't you come to me immediately? Why did you hide it? Because I didn't know if you'd believe me, Lily thought. Because Bianca had her claws so deep in you, I thought you might choose her over the truth. I was scared, Lily said honestly. I didn't know who to trust. So, instead of coming to me, you stole my daughter's ribbon and hid it in your room? Marco's voice rose. Do you understand how that looks? I didn't steal it. She's framing me. Framing you for what? Exactly? Bianca moved closer to Marco, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Lily, I know you loved Isabella. We all did. But this fantasy you've constructed, accusing me of murder, it's not healthy. You need help. The gaslighting was masterful. Even Lily, knowing the absolute truth, felt a moment of doubt creep in. Bianca's performance was that good. Marco, please, Lily leaned forward desperately. Check the rose bushes yourself. You'll see the disturbed soil. You'll find. I had the groundskeeper examine that area this morning, Bianca interjected calmly. After I found the ribbon in Lily's room, I wanted to verify her claims. There's nothing there. Just normal garden maintenance. Of course. Bianca had her people fix it. Filled in the hole, replaced the soil, destroyed the evidence. She'd been planning this since the moment she realized Isabella's box had been opened. Lily felt the walls closing in. Then check Bianca's shoes. The cream leather ones. They'll have soil on them. You mean these? Bianca walked to the corner of the study and picked up a shoebox Lily hadn't noticed. Inside were the cream shoes, pristine and spotless. I had them professionally cleaned 2 days ago, as I do with all my shoes. Every avenue of proof had been systematically eliminated. Bianca had been 2 steps ahead the entire time, anticipating Lily's every move. Marcos sank back into his chair, rubbing his temples. Lily, I want to believe you. I do. But you're asking me to accept that my fiancé murdered my daughter based on
What?
suspicions? Feelings? A ribbon that was found in your possession? I'm telling you the truth, Lily insisted, hearing the desperation in her own voice and hating it. Then where were you this morning? Marco's eyes hardened. You missed our meeting. Vincent says you left the estate. Where did you go? Lily's mouth went dry. She couldn't tell him about Margaret's cottage. Couldn't reveal Isabella's location. Not with Bianca in the room. I needed air. I went for a drive. Where? Just around. To clear my head. You're lying, Marco's voice was flat, final. You're lying to me right now, and you expect me to believe you about everything else. Marco, I think we should call Dr. Patterson, Bianca said gently. Have him evaluate Lily. Make sure she's not a danger to herself or others.
No.
Lily stood abruptly. I'm not crazy, and I'm not lying. Then prove it, Marco snapped. Give me one piece of real evidence. Something concrete. Anything. Lily opened her mouth, then closed it. The fabric scrap from Isabella's dress was still in her pocket at Margaret's cottage. The disturbed soil had been fixed. The ribbon had been planted in her room. Every piece of evidence had been destroyed or turned against her. She had nothing but her word against Bianca's. And Marco's expression told her that her word wasn't enough. I need you to take a few days off, Marco said finally. Paid leave. Stay away from the estate while we sort this out. You're firing me. I'm giving you space. For everyone's safety. Including yours, his eyes said. Because I don't know if I believe you. And if you're wrong, you've just accused the daughter of the most powerful mafia family on the East Coast of murder. Lily looked at Bianca and saw the triumph in her eyes, carefully masked but unmistakable. She'd won. At least for now. I'll go, Lily said quietly. But Mr. DeLuca? When the truth comes out, and it will, remember this moment. Remember that I tried to warn you. She walked out of the study with her head high, even though inside, she was screaming. Lily drove straight back to Margaret's cottage, her hands shaking so badly she almost ran a red light. Everything was falling apart. She'd been kicked out of the estate, lost access to Marco, and Bianca was now free to operate without anyone watching her. But at least Isabella was safe.
For now.
Margaret met her at the door, her expression grim. What happened? Bianca set me up. Planted evidence. Made Marco think I'm unstable. Lily collapsed onto the couch, exhaustion finally catching up with her. I have no proof, no credibility, nothing. What about the child? She's the only proof that matters. But I can't just parade her in front of Marco, with Bianca there. Bianca would. Lily's voice trailed off. She'd find a way to finish what she started. Isabella emerged from the bedroom, still in the oversized shirt Margaret had given her. Lil? What's wrong? Lily forced a smile. Nothing, baby. Everything's fine. But it wasn't fine. And 3 days later, it got worse. Margaret shook Lily awake at 2 a.m. Someone's watching the house. Lily bolted upright. What? Black SUV. Parked down the street. Been there for an hour. They're not even trying to hide. Lily's blood turned to ice. She crept to the window and peered through the curtains. Sure enough, a black Escalade sat 3 houses down, engine running, windows tinted. Bianca had found them. We need to move, Lily said urgently.
Now.
Get Isabella dressed. Where will you go? Lily's mind raced through options. Hotels were too public. Friends were too risky. She needed somewhere off the grid, somewhere Bianca's network couldn't reach. Marco's secondary estate in the mountains. It was insane. The man had just kicked her out, and she was planning to break into his private property. But it was also perfect, isolated, rarely used, and the last place anyone would look for them. More importantly, Marco was the only person with enough power to actually stop Bianca. She just needed to get Isabella to him, without Bianca intercepting them first. "Margaret, I need your car," Lily said. "They'll be tracking mine." 10 minutes later, Lily pulled out of Margaret's garage in a rusted Ford pickup that looked like it had survived multiple wars. Isabella lay hidden under blankets in the back seat. In the rearview mirror, Lily watched the black SUV pull out to follow. But Lily had grown up in these streets. She knew every alley, every shortcut, every dead end. She led them on a chase through Porter's Bay, taking sharp turns through residential neighborhoods, cutting through a shopping center parking lot, doubling back on one-way streets. Finally, she killed her lights and ducked into an old warehouse district, hiding behind an abandoned building. The SUV drove past, searching. Lily waited 15 agonizing minutes, then took a completely different route out of town, heading north toward the mountains. It took 3 hours to reach Marco's mountain estate. Rain had started falling, heavy and cold, turning the dirt access road into mud. By the time Lily pulled up to the gates, they were both soaked and shivering. The property was dark, seemingly empty. But Lily knew the code. She'd overheard Marco give it to Vincent months ago. She punched it in, praying he hadn't changed it. The gates opened. The house was smaller than the main estate, more like a hunting lodge. Lily picked the back door lock with a hairpin, a skill she'd learned from her rebellious teenage years, and they stumbled inside. "Stay quiet," Lily whispered to Isabella. "We're safe here, but we need to be careful." She found blankets, made Isabella comfortable on a couch, and was about to search for food when headlights swept across the windows. Someone was coming up the drive. Lily's heart stopped. She grabbed Isabella and pulled her into a closet, covering the child's mouth. The front door opened. Footsteps. More than one person. "Need to check the perimeter," a familiar voice said. "Vincent." "The house is secure," another voice.
Marco.
They were here. But why? Lily heard them moving through rooms, checking windows, speaking in low tones about security protocols and safe locations. It sounded like they were planning to stay. Isabella squirmed in Lily's arms. The child was exhausted, scared, and Lily knew they couldn't hide in a closet for long. She had to make a choice: stay hidden and hope they weren't discovered, or reveal themselves and pray Marco would listen this time. The decision was made for her when Isabella suddenly sneezed. The house went silent. "Vincent, check that," Marco said quietly. Footsteps approached. The closet door opened. Vincent stood there, gun drawn, his expression shocked. "Boss, you need to see this." Marco appeared behind him, and his face went absolutely white. Lily stepped out of the closet, her hands raised. "Please, before you do anything, just listen." But Marco wasn't looking at her. He was staring at Isabella, who peeked out from behind Lily's legs, clutching her stuffed rabbit.
"Daddy."
Isabella's voice was small, uncertain. Marco made a sound Lily had never heard before, something between a gasp and a sob. He dropped to his knees, his gun clattering to the floor. "Isabella? Baby, is that how?" Isabella ran to him. Marco caught her, pulling her into his arms like he'd never let go. His whole body shook as he buried his face in her hair, and Lily saw tears streaming down his face. "You're alive," he whispered. "Oh my God, you're alive. You're alive." Vincent stood frozen, his gun still raised, looking between Lily and the reunion like he'd stepped into an alternate reality. "I tried to tell you," Lily said quietly, tears burning in her own eyes. "I tried." Marco looked up at her, his expression transformed. The suspicion was gone, replaced by something raw and terrible: understanding. "Tell me everything," he said, his voice shaking. "Every single thing."
Now. So Lily did.
She told him about the ribbon, the disturbed soil, finding Isabella buried alive. She told him about hiding her, about Bianca's manipulation, about the planted evidence, and the black SUV. Marco listened to every word, his arms wrapped protectively around his daughter. And with each revelation, his expression grew darker, colder, more dangerous. When Lily finished, Marco was silent for a long moment. Then he looked at Vincent. "Get my lawyers.
Get my security team.
Get everyone." His voice was deadly calm. "And find Bianca. I want her in front of me within the hour. Boss, if we move against the Rossis." "I don't care." Marco stood, lifting Isabella with him. "She tried to kill my daughter. There will be consequences." Marco arranged for Isabella to be taken to a secure medical facility under Vincent's protection. The child clung to her father, and it took 20 minutes of gentle reassurance before she'd let go. "I'll be back soon, baby. I promise. Lily will stay with you." "No," Lily said quietly. "With respect, Mr. DeLuca, I'm coming with you. I'm the only witness to what happened. You'll need me." Marco studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Vincent, double the security on Isabella. No one gets near her. No one inch." They drove back to the main estate in silence, the rain hammering against the windshield. Lily could feel the rage radiating from Marco, like heat from a furnace. This wasn't the grieving father anymore. This was something else entirely, something dangerous that had been held in check by doubt and now had absolute certainty to fuel it. When they arrived, the house was ablaze with lights. Staff scattered as Marco strode through the hallways, his footsteps echoing like gunshots. Lily followed, her heart pounding. They found Bianca in the morning room, calmly sipping tea and reading a magazine. She looked up as they entered, her expression pleasant. "Marco, you're back early." "I thought you were." She stopped, noticing Lily. Her eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. "Why is she here?" "I thought we agreed she needed time away." "Everyone out," Marco said quietly. The two staff members in the room fled immediately. Lily moved to follow, but Marco caught her arm.
"Not you.
You stay." Bianca set down her teacup with a delicate clink. "Marco, what's going on?" "Tell me about the rose bushes," Marco said, his voice conversational. "The ones by the East Garden." Something flickered in Bianca's expression, so fast that if Lily hadn't been watching for it, she would have missed it.
"Fear."
"I don't know what you mean." "The soil there. Someone dug a hole. A deep one. Big enough for a box." Marco took a step closer. "A box the size a child might fit in." Bianca's composure cracked slightly. "That's ridiculous. If you're listening to her delusional accusations. Isabella's alive." The words dropped like a bomb. Bianca went absolutely still. The color drained from her face, and for the first time since Lily had known her, she looked genuinely shaken. "That's impossible," Bianca whispered.
"Impossible."
Marco's voice was dangerously soft. Or just inconvenient. "Tell me, Bianca, how does it feel to fail at murder?" "I don't know what she told you, but she didn't tell me anything I didn't see with my own eyes. My daughter.
Alive.
Terrified. Traumatized. But alive." Marco moved closer still, and Lily saw Bianca actually take a step backward. "She told me everything. How you drugged her. How you put her in that box. How you buried her in the garden like she was garbage." "Marco, please, you have to understand." "Understand what?" His voice rose for the first time. "Understand that you tried to murder a 7-year-old child? My child? Help me understand that, Bianca."
"I'm listening."
Bianca's mask finally shattered. The elegant, composed woman disappeared, replaced by something harder, colder. "She was in the way," Bianca said flatly. "Everything would have been fine, but she was always there. Always demanding your attention. Always reminding you of your precious first wife. I couldn't compete with a ghost and a child." The casual admission sent chills down Lily's spine. "So you decided to kill her," Marco said. "I decided to remove an obstacle." Bianca straightened her shoulders, finding some of her composure. "Do you know what you were before me, Marco? A widower losing ground. Your allies were drifting away. Your enemies were circling. You needed my family's connections, my father's support. But you kept delaying the wedding. For her. Always for her. She's my daughter. She was a liability. Bianca's voice turned sharp. And she's still alive, which means this isn't over. You can hate me all you want, but the facts haven't changed. Without my family's backing, you'll be dead within 6 months. The Castellanos will tear you apart. Then I'll die standing, Marco said quietly. But I'll die knowing I'm not a monster. Can you say the same? Bianca laughed, a bitter, brittle sound. You think you're better than me? You've killed people, Marco. You've ordered hits, eliminated rivals, destroyed entire families. But somehow, removing one inconvenient child makes me the monster? Those were enemies. Adults who knew the risks. She was 7 years old. She was an obstacle to my future. Our future, Bianca's voice dropped. I did this for us. So we could build something without the shadow of your past hanging over us. If you'd just let me finish it, everything would have been fine. You would have grieved, we would have married, and eventually you'd have moved on. We'd have had new children. A fresh start. The chilling logic of a sociopath. To Bianca, Isabella wasn't a person, she was just a problem to be solved. Marco stood silent for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was empty of emotion. The engagement is over. Pack your things. You have 1 hour. You're making a mistake, Bianca's eyes hardened. My father won't accept this insult. Do you understand what you're starting? A war, Marco said simply. I'm starting a war. And I'll burn your entire family to the ground before I let you walk away unpunished. Then you're a fool, Bianca grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with rage. You're choosing that child over survival. Over empire. My father will destroy you for this. He can try. Bianca turned to leave, then paused at the door. She looked back at Lily with pure hatred in her eyes. You should have minded your own business, Maid. You've signed all of our death warrants. Better dead than complicit, Lily said quietly. After Bianca left, the room fell into heavy silence. Marco sank into a chair, suddenly looking exhausted. She's right about one thing, he said finally. The Rossis will retaliate. Hard. I know, Lily said.
People will die.
Maybe us included. I know that too. Marco looked up at her.
Why?
Why did you risk everything? You could have walked away. Found another job. Stayed safe. Lily thought of Isabella's gap-toothed smile, her endless questions, the way she'd called her Lil, like they were friends, not servant and child. Because she mattered, Lily said simply. And someone had to fight for her.
Marco nodded slowly.
Thank you. For saving her. For not giving up when I didn't believe you. Just protect her now, Lily said. Whatever comes next, keep Isabella safe. I will. Marco's expression hardened again. And I'll make sure Bianca and her family answer for what they did. Outside, car engines roared to life. Bianca was leaving, probably already on the phone with her father. The war had begun. The first attack came 36 hours later. A car bomb in the parking garage of one of Marco's shipping offices in Newark. 3 dead, 7 injured. The message was clear. The Rossi family didn't just want revenge. They wanted total annihilation. Marco moved Isabella and Margaret to a secure location upstate, a fortified compound that looked like an ordinary farmhouse but had security measures that rivaled a military installation. Lily went with them, partly as caretaker, partly as witness protection. I should be down there with you, Lily said as Marco prepared to leave. No, Marco's tone left no room for argument. Isabella needs you. And if something happens to me, you're the only one who knows the full truth. Stay with her. Keep her safe. So Lily stayed, watching through television news and hushed phone calls as the war escalated. The Rossis hit Marco's legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction sites, real estate holdings. They were trying to bleed him financially before going for the kill. Marco struck back harder. A warehouse fire in Queens destroyed a major Rossi drug operation. 2 of Dante Rossi's top lieutenants disappeared and were found days later, sending a message of their own. The violence spiraled. drive-by shootings, arson, ambushes. The police made token arrests, but everyone knew they were outmatched. This wasn't their fight. This was old-world justice playing out in modern streets. Isabella had nightmares every night. She'd wake up screaming, convinced Bianca was coming for her. Lily would hold her, whispering promises she didn't know if she could keep. "Is Daddy going to die?" Isabella asked one morning, her voice small.
"No, baby.
"Your daddy is strong." "Bianca wanted me dead. What if she wins?" Lily couldn't lie to her. "Then we'll run. Somewhere far away where no one can find us." "But your daddy is going to win." I believe that. She had to believe it. The alternative was unthinkable. 2 weeks into the war, Vincent called. "We need you back at the estate. Tonight."
"Why?"
"What happened?" "Just come." Marco's orders. Lily's stomach churned with anxiety as she made the drive south, leaving Isabella in Margaret's capable hands. The estate looked like an armed fortress when she arrived. Guards everywhere, security cameras on every corner, the gates reinforced with steel barriers. Vincent met her at the door. "He's in the study." Marco looked like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Dark circles under his eyes, stubble on his jaw, his clothes rumpled. Maps and documents covered his desk. "You wanted to see me?" Lily asked. "I need information." Marco looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "You were at Margaret Chen's cottage for several days. You saw the area, the people, the layout." "Yes." "Did you ever hear anyone mention a place called the Anchor Warehouse?" "Old shipping facility near the docks." Lily's mind raced back. Margaret's cottage. The black SUV watching them. The chase through Porter's Bay. And yes, she'd hidden briefly near the docks, and she'd seen armed men loading crates into a warehouse with a faded anchor painted on the side.
"I saw it," Lily said. "Why?"
"One of our informants mentioned the Rossis are stockpiling weapons there. Guns, explosives, enough firepower to level half the city." Marco's jaw tightened. "If we could take out that warehouse, we'd cut off their main supply line, cripple their ability to fight." "But you're not sure of the location." "I'm sure it exists." "I'm not sure where." Marco pulled out a map of Porter's Bay. "Can you show me?" Lily studied the map, her finger tracing the route she'd taken that night.
"Here, near the old fish processing plants."
"The warehouse has a faded Anchor logo on the north side. I saw at least 6 guards, maybe more." Marco's expression shifted. Calculation, strategy, something almost like hope. "You're certain?" "Positive. I hid across the street for 20 minutes. I watched them loading trucks." "What kind of trucks?"
"White panel vans. No máquinas."
"They made 3 trips while I was there." Marco grabbed his phone. "Vincent, get in here." What followed was a flurry of activity. Phone calls, map consultations, tactical planning. Lily found herself pulled into the center of it, answering questions about guard positions, exit routes, visibility from the street. "This is good," Vincent said finally. "If the intel's accurate, we can hit them tonight. Fast and hard before they relocate." "Do it," Marco ordered. "Take your best team. I want that warehouse ash by morning." The raid happened at 3 a.m. Lily couldn't sleep, pacing the guest room Marco had given her, imagining every possible outcome. What if she'd been wrong? What if it was a trap? What if Vincent and his team walked into an ambush? At dawn, her phone buzzed. A text from Marco. "Come to the study." She found him standing by the window, watching the sunrise. On his desk sat a bottle of expensive whiskey and 2 glasses. "The warehouse?"
Lily asked. "Gone."
"Completely destroyed. We recovered enough weapons to supply a small army. Guns, ammunition, C for explosives, rocket launchers." Marco's voice was quiet but satisfied. "You just won this war, Lily. I didn't do anything. You remembered. You paid attention. You gave us the advantage we needed." He poured 2 glasses and handed her one. "Dante Rossi just lost his teeth. Without those weapons, without that supply line, he can't sustain a prolonged fight. His allies are already backing away. By next week, the Rossi family will be finished. Lily took the glass with shaking hands. What about Bianca? Marco's expression darkened. She fled to Italy 3 days ago. Probably thought she'd be safe there, that this would all blow over. He took a long drink. She was wrong. What does that mean? It means I have people in Italy too. It means nowhere is safe for someone who tried to kill my daughter. His eyes were cold, final. She'll answer for what she did. One way or another. The war wasn't over, not completely. There would be more violence, more retaliation, more blood before the dust settled. But the tide had turned. And somehow, impossibly, Lily had been the one to turn it. Over the next week, the Rossi empire crumbled like a house of cards. Without their weapons cache, they couldn't defend their territory. Marco's forces swept through their operations systematically, shutting down drug pipelines, seizing properties, flipping loyal soldiers who suddenly saw which way the wind was blowing. Dante Rossi, once one of the most feared men on the East Coast, found himself isolated and powerless. His allies abandoned him. His political connections dried up. The man who'd threatened to destroy Marco within 6 months couldn't protect his own holdings. Lily watched it unfold from the upstate compound, where she stayed with Isabella and Margaret. The news reported it as gang violence declining and major arrests in organized crime. But Lily knew the truth. Marco was methodically dismantling everything the Rossis had built. On the 8th day, Marco arrived at the compound himself. Isabella ran to him, and he scooped her up, holding her like she might disappear if he let go. He looked different, still exhausted, but the desperate edge was gone, replaced by something harder, more final. It's almost over, he told Lily later, after Isabella had gone to bed. They sat on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the darkness. Dante's agreed to terms. He keeps his life and a small legitimate business in Atlantic City. Everything else, territory, operations, connections, goes to us. And Bianca? Marco's jaw tightened. My people found her in Rome. She was hiding in a villa owned by her mother's family. He paused. She tried to run when they came for her. The past tense made Lily's stomach drop. Tried. She's alive, Marco said quickly. But she won't be running anymore.
She's been
contained. In a place where she can't hurt anyone ever again. Lily didn't ask for details. She didn't want to know. What happens now? She asked instead. Now we rebuild. Repair the damage. Establish new order. Marco looked at her. And I owe you everything. You saved Isabella. You gave me the information that won this war. You risked your life when you didn't have to. I was just doing what was right. Most people don't. Marco's voice was soft. Most people look the other way. Choose safety over justice. But you didn't. Even when I doubted you, even when I kicked you out, you kept fighting for her. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. She's a good kid. She deserved someone to fight for her.
She did.
And she had you. Marco reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. Lily opened it. Inside was a check for $200,000. Mr. DeLuca, I can't. Yes, you can. Consider it payment for services rendered. Or severance if you want to leave. Go anywhere in the world. Start fresh. Never look back. You've earned that right. Lily stared at the check, her mind spinning. $200,000. More money than she'd earn in 5 years of work. Enough to disappear, to start over somewhere safe, somewhere far from mafia wars and buried children and midnight raids. It was everything she should want. And if I don't want to leave, she heard herself ask. Marco looked surprised. You want to stay? After everything? Isabella needs stability.
Familiar faces.
Someone she trusts. Lily folded the check and tucked it back in the envelope. I don't want your money, Mr. DeLuca. I want my job back. I want to be there for her. Lily, you understand what you're choosing? This life, my life, it's not safe. It will never be completely safe. I know. Lily met his eyes. But she's worth it. And maybe I've found something worth fighting for. Marco studied her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. House manager, he said finally. What? You're not a maid anymore. You're house manager. You'll oversee the entire staff, have complete authority over household operations, and serve as Isabella's primary guardian when I'm away on business, he paused. You'll also have living quarters in the main house, not the servants' wing. Your own space. Your own privacy. Mr. DeLuca, that's too much. It's not nearly enough. But it's a start. Marco extended his hand. Do we have a deal? Lily shook his hand, feeling the calluses that came from years of violence, but also the strength that had protected Isabella when it mattered most. We have a deal. The next morning, Lily woke to find Isabella sitting on the edge of her bed, holding her stuffed rabbit. Lil? Daddy says we're going home today. Home. The word felt different now. Not just a place where Lily worked, but a place where she belonged. That's right, baby. We're going home. Will you really be there? Every day. Every single day, Lily promised. I'm not going anywhere. Isabella launched herself into Lily's arms, hugging her tight. I was scared you'd leave. That Bianca would come back and you wouldn't be there to save me again. Bianca's gone. She can't hurt you anymore, Lily stroked Isabella's hair. And I'll always be here. Always. I promise. As they packed to leave the compound, Lily caught Marco watching them, his daughter and the woman who'd saved her, with an expression she couldn't quite read. Gratitude, yes. But something else too. Something that made her heart skip in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Whatever came next, whatever new threats emerged, whatever challenges they faced, they would face them together. Not as employer and employee. Not as boss and subordinate. But as something more. Something that didn't have a name yet, but felt like the beginning of family. The kind of family built not on blood, but on loyalty, trust, and the willingness to fight for each other when the darkness came. And in their world, the darkness always came eventually. But for now, driving back toward the estate with Isabella chattering happily in the back seat and Marco occasionally catching her eye in the rearview mirror, Lily allowed herself to feel something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 months passed in relative peace. The Rossi family faded into obscurity. Dante retreated to his small Atlantic City operation, a broken man ruling over scraps. The territory wars ended. The violence stopped. Marco's empire stabilized and grew stronger than before. Life at the estate found a new rhythm. Lily settled into her role as house manager, earning the respect of the staff through competence and fairness. She decorated her new quarters in the main house, a suite with its own sitting room and a view of the east garden, where the rose bushes bloomed again, hiding no secrets beneath their roots. Isabella thrived. The nightmares became less frequent. Her laughter returned. She started second grade at a private school with armed security that looked like regular staff. Every afternoon, she'd run into the kitchen where Lily was reviewing menus or managing schedules, demanding cookies and attention in equal measure. Marco watched it all with an expression that shifted every time he looked at Lily, gratitude deepening into something warmer, more complicated. He found excuses to seek her out, asked her opinion on matters that had nothing to do with household management, lingered in doorways when she was reading to Isabella before bed. Their conversations stretched longer, ventured into personal territory. You never talk about your life before here, Marco said one evening. They were in his study, reviewing security protocols for an upcoming business trip. Not much to tell, Lily said. Small town girl, dead parents, no family. The estate became my life. That's lonely. Was lonely, Lily corrected, meeting his eyes. Past tense. The air between them crackled with something unspoken. But before anything could develop, the past came roaring back. It was a Tuesday morning when Vincent burst into the breakfast room, his face grim. Boss, we have a problem.
Bianca escaped.
The words dropped like a bomb. Marco was on his feet instantly.
How?
The facility in Sicily was hit last night. Professional job.
6 guards dead.
Bianca's gone. Lily's blood ran cold. She looked at Isabella, who'd gone pale, her spoon frozen halfway to her mouth. "Lock down the estate," Marco ordered. "Triple security on all entry points. And get Isabella." "I want Lily," Isabella whispered, her voice shaking.
"Please, Daddy."
"I want Lily."
"Marco Nadith."
"Vincent, take them to the panic room."
"Now."
The panic room was in the basement. Reinforced steel walls, separate ventilation. Enough supplies to last a week. Vincent ushered them inside, his expression apologetic. "Just a precaution. She probably ran to South America or Asia. No way she'd be stupid enough to come here." But as the heavy door sealed shut, Lily wondered. Bianca had tried to bury a child alive. Rationality wasn't her strong suit. They waited in the sterile room for 6 hours. Isabella clung to Lily, silent and terrified. Lily tried to distract her with stories, with games, but the child's eyes kept darting to the door. "She's coming," Isabella whispered. "I can feel it." "Your daddy won't let anything happen to you," Lily said firmly. "Neither will I." At hour 7, the intercom crackled. "We have an intruder on the grounds. East Garden. Stay inside." Lily's heart stopped. The East Garden. The rose bushes. The place where this nightmare had started. Bianca wasn't just coming back. She was making a statement. 30 minutes of tense silence followed. Then gunshots, 3 sharp cracks that echoed through the walls. Isabella screamed. Lily pulled her close, her own heart hammering. "It's okay, baby. It's okay." The intercom crackled again. "All clear. Threat neutralized." But Isabella wouldn't calm down. She sobbed into Lily's shoulder, hyperventilating, her small body shaking uncontrollably. When the panic room door finally opened, Marco stood there, his shirt torn, a cut on his cheek, but alive. Relief flooded his face when he saw them. "It's over," he said quietly.
"She's gone."
"For real this time." "Is she?" Lily couldn't finish the question with Isabella listening. Marco nodded once. "Final." He knelt down and opened his arms. Isabella ran to him, and he held her like he'd held her the night they'd reunited, like she was the most precious thing in the world. "I'm sorry, baby.
"I'm so sorry."
I should have protected you better from the start." "You did protect me," Isabella said through tears. "You and Lil. You both did." Marco looked up at Lily over his daughter's head, his eyes raw with emotion. "Take her upstairs. Help her clean up. I'll be there soon." An hour later, after Isabella had bathed and changed into pajamas, after Lily had read her 3 stories and held her hand until she fell into exhausted sleep, Lily found Marco in the East Garden. He stood by the rose bushes, staring down at the soil that had once hidden his daughter's temporary grave. "I'm having them removed," he said without turning. "The roses. This whole section. I can't look at it anymore without seeing." "No," Lily walked over to stand beside him.
"Keep them."
"Let them be a reminder that Isabella survived. That evil didn't win." Marco was quiet for a moment. Then, "I've been thinking about what you said. About finding something worth fighting for." "Yeah. I think I found it too." He turned to face her, vulnerability written across his usually guarded features. "You and Isabella. You're what matters. Not territory, not power, not empire.
Just.
You 2-inch. Lily's breath caught. "Marco. I know it's complicated. I know my life is dangerous. But you've already proven you can handle dangerous. You walked into hell for my daughter. You saved her when I failed," his voice roughened. "And somewhere along the way, you saved me too. I was just doing what was right."
"No."
"You were being extraordinary," he reached out, his hand cupping her cheek. "And I'm tired of pretending I don't see it." He kissed her, gentle, tentative, asking rather than taking. Lily kissed him back, tasting possibility and hope and the promise of something new built on the ashes of something terrible. When they pulled apart, Marco rested his forehead against hers. "No pressure. We can take this slow. But I need you to know, you're not just the house manager. You're family. You're—" "I know," Lily whispered. I feel it too. 6 months later, on a warm spring morning, Lily stood in the East Garden with Isabella. The roses bloomed brilliant red, and new flowers had been planted around them. Daisies, tulips, bright symbols of life. Isabella placed a small painted rock at the base of the rose bushes, a memorial marker she'd made herself with Lily's help. It read simply, "I survived." "Do you still have nightmares?" Lily asked. "Sometimes. But less now." Isabella slipped her hand into Lily's. "Because I know you're there. And Daddy. And even Vincent and Margaret. I'm not alone anymore." "No, baby. You're not alone." Marco appeared from the house, carrying a tray of lemonade. He'd been spending more time at home lately, delegating more, choosing presence over power. He caught Lily's eye and smiled. The real smile he saved for private moments, the one that transformed his face from dangerous to devastatingly handsome.
"Come on," he called.
"Lunch is ready." "And Lil," Margaret called. "She's coming by later with those cookies Isabella likes." As they walked back toward the house, Isabella skipping ahead, Marco's hand finding Lily's, Lily looked back one last time at the rose bushes. The place where a child had been buried alive. The place where evil had tried to win. But evil hadn't won. Love had. Courage had. The simple, stubborn refusal to let darkness have the final word. And now those roses stood as a testament not to what had almost been lost, but to what had been found. Family, forged not in blood but in fire. In sacrifice. In the willingness to fight for each other when the world tried to tear them apart. The nightmares would fade. The scars would heal. And life, messy, complicated, beautiful life, would continue. Not perfect. Never perfect in their world. But real. And worth fighting for. Always worth fighting for.
The end.